Good evening, my fellow classmates, Professor Jed. I want to have an important conversation about getting tested for STD. But I don't understand why it's so difficult to have this conversation about getting tested or knowing your partner's status. We have a generation of adults who want to have intimate relations with each other, and no one wants to know their status, or everyone is uncomfortable talking about, other person's STD status. Now, we're not living in dark ages where we didn't have available resources, contraceptive, preventative measures, so there shouldn't be a need for this conversation, but there is. Because I'm looking at this statistic from the CDC, and this report says that 2,295,739 total cases since 2017 of STDs. 1,708,569 were chlamydia, gonorrhea 555,608, syphilis 30,644. And then it goes on to say chlamydia is the most commonly reported STD, with approximately 1.7 million cases reported in 2017. Young women ages 15 to 24. Young women who have not lived their life yet, 15, that's kind of young, account for nearly half, 45% of reported cases, and face the most severe consequences because of undiagnosed infection. Because untreated STDs like chlamydia and gonorrhea put women at risk for pelvic inflammatory disease, which may result in chronic pelvic pain, infertility, and potentially a life-threatening ectopic pregnancy if they go that undiagnosed. And it is estimated that 20,000 women go undiagnosed each year, which results in infertility. It says from 2016 to 2017, rates of syphilis has increased among women by 21%, from 1.9 cases per 100,000 women in 2016 to 2.3 per 100,000 women in 2017, and among newborns, congenital syphilis by 44%, from 16 cases per 100,000 live births in 2016 to 23 per 100,000 live births in 2017. So this is a statistic. I'm going to show it to you. It's from the CDC, National Center for HIV and AIDS, Viral Hepatitis, STD, and TB Prevention. Men accounted for more than 88% of all primary and secondary syphilis cases in 2017. Rates increased among men by 9%, from 16 cases per 100,000 men in 2016 to 17 per 100 men in 2017. And it says gay, bisexual, and other men who have sex with men accounted for 68% of all cases where the gender of the sex partner is known in 2017, and over half of primary and secondary cases. Now, these are all numbers. So, when you hear numbers, everybody goes in a frenzy. You probably don't understand it. The fact of the matter is serious. In this day and age, we should not have all these cases of syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, any STD, because we have the tools. We are given the tools. We know that we know what it is to prevent it. We know what to do. We know the preventative measures. There's no reason for it. So then why are we having this conversation? Why do we need this conversation? A lot of people get upset and uncomfortable when you start asking them their status. I'm not dirty, I'm clean. That's not the point. And they feel slighted when you say to them you want to know their status. Now, I tell people this story all the time. My son's father, who after we parted ways, my son is actually 60 now. He's the one who's videotaping this. Just like, he said, now listen. 16-year-old. He got remarried, and there was this young lady at his job who was trying to talk to him, and very pushy, very, very, persistent. And she knew he was married. And he told her that, she said to him, after trying one night or whatever, they work at a hotel. And she said, I'm not dirty. Why I'm not dirty. And he looked at her and he said, I'm not worried if you're dirty. I'm worried about what I might give to you. Now, he was joking with the lady, but he shut her up. And she sat down and started to think about it for a minute. And that's the only way he could have gotten her off his case. But the fact that this married man is telling you that he doesn't want to have this relationship with you, he doesn't want, but you're so persistent. She's not even thinking about the consequences of having this relationship or doing this transaction with him. And I know days after he said that to her, she probably sat down and thought about it. Everyone should approach a relationship, not a relationship, whether it be a fling or just a night out or just having fun, should approach it in this manner. You don't know what this person has and what you can get or what you may give to the person. So you should always look at it in that way. So I'm not giving people, so if just because I know your status, that doesn't mean that you go have unprotected sex. I'm not giving people permission to go around having unprotected sex with everybody, because we just went to the clinic and I know your status, so long we can have, because trust and believe. Then you might come out, you might catch something else, like a baby, and nobody wants a baby that you have to take care of for the rest of their life. That's a very expensive thing to catch. I know there are alternatives and you can do whatever you want, but a lot of people don't want to have a baby when they're not prepared for it. But on a serious note, no one wants to inadvertently give someone something. So you should know your status, so not just asking for someone's status, but you should always know your status, where you stand. Because nobody wants to jeopardize anyone's life. I mean, it can be, you can give them something that's curable, but then you might still, but you don't want to give anyone anything. And they might, and then it can be something, and you might catch something that's incurable. Either way, no one wants to give anyone. I think most people would not want to give, I'm not a human being, anything, any STD. So, it's good for your peace of mind. And I tell another story about, no, let me say this. So everybody has excuses why they can't. Oh, it's uncomfortable. It takes away the spontaneity and this and that. But listen, let me give you an analogy. So would you go into a car with a person that's blind and let them drive you? Not you in the driver's seat. You in the passenger seat, and the person is a blind person. They're legally blind. They cannot see. They have not seen for years. They walk around and bump into things and walk into walls. Yeah, this is the question I'm asking you. Would you allow someone blind to drive you? Hopefully, the answer is no. That's the same way you should look at it. You go into an intimate relation with someone and you don't know what you're getting. It's like going into a car with someone that is blind. You're going in blind. You don't know what can happen. So either you go in the passenger seat, take the control back, go into the driver's seat, take the control back, and that's the same thing I'm talking about. Go into the driver's seat, decide, talk to you and your partner. Listen, here's what's going to happen. We make a data fit. We go down to the Department of Health, because they offer free HIV and STD testing. Planned Parenthood offers it too. And there are free clinics in every state and every county that offers it. And you go down there and make a data fit. We go, we take our test. You might want to learn your results separately, which they might recommend. You go in a room and you learn it. And then you guys come together where you guys can look at it together. And if the person don't want you to know their results, well, maybe you should run, because then maybe there's something that they don't want you to see. Now, if I'm clear in the all clear, I don't mind if you see my results. But if there's something I don't want you to see, then maybe it's time for you to choose a different, direction. Like, okay, maybe we be friends. Maybe this won't be happening right now, because that's a sure sign. If somebody's hiding their results from you, you might not want to get intimate with that person. Just saying. The next thing is, we should try and not let our emotions lead us all the time. Because in the long run, when you think in retrospect, you're going to say, I shoulda, I woulda. I mean, you can't go back. Certain things you can't go back in time and change. You only get one chance to do this. There's no do-overs when you get a sexual transmitted disease, especially one that lasts forever. There's just no do-overs. And I wouldn't want that on my worst enemy. I mean, I know two young ladies that still very young ladies. They got it. One of them got it when she was about 19. Had an experience with an individual twice, and she has HIV. I mean, it's been, I want to say, 17 or 18 years now. She's well. She has a baby. She has a life. She went to college. It didn't change her, but it changed her life, the trajectory of her life. But, she's making do with it. But I'm sure she had gone back and changed anything. She would have changed the choices she made that day. And it's hard to live in regret, especially when you knew you could have prevented it. That's a hard one, to know that, this didn't have to happen to me. And there's another young lady I know that this, with a sexual experience with an individual, she caught herpes. And both young ladies, when they confronted these gentlemen, they denied it. And I'm sure they knew they had it. Because, just from the way they tell the story, it seems like they knew that, they had the disease and was willing to give it to someone else. And the fact is, they didn't ask them the questions. So you can't really blame these men for deliberately doing this to these women, but you can't really blame them because they didn't ask themselves, they didn't protect themselves. They didn't put themselves in the driver's seat. They allowed themselves to be driven blind. So you can't really blame the men or the partner that gave it to them. Because these are questions we need to ask ourselves. These are important questions we need to ask each other when we are going to an intimate relationship with them. These are one of the first questions you need to ask. I know people will say, oh, it's inappropriate. It's not. It's never inappropriate to ask these questions. And the fact that we have new cases each day, every year, it boggles my mind that this is happening. It just boggles my mind to see that this is, in this day and age, something that's 100% preventable is growing at a rate that, it's like growing like wildfire, like there's no stopping it when we are able to stop it in its tracks. Now, some of my sources I use were, I told you before, the CDC and 2007 STD surveillance report website, and there's also the I think all about the CDC, the government, the National Center for HIV and AIDS, Viral Hepatitis, STD, and TB Preventative Director, Division of STD Prevention Disorder, Surveillance Report. I think. So the gist of it is, here's the thing. So nobody wants to ruin the romance in any relationship, but I think I'd rather ask the hard questions early before anything starts than have the conversation, the painful conversation later, because then that's hard to come back from. So that's my take on it, and that's my gist to you. It's just important to have this conversation, no matter who you are, with your partner, or may not. It doesn't have to be a serious relationship. You know, anybody you're willing to be intimate with, that you have these conversations, because they're things that can change your life forever, and especially if they're 100% preventable and you can take care and not get any of these STDs. I just think it's important that we have these conversations. That's all. Thank you.